3 ways the drama triangle shows up in narcissistic abuse. That's what we're talking about in this video. Hey, I'm Dr. Melissa. I'm a trauma expert, top doctor, leadership catalyst for narcissistic abuse survivors, and CEO of Sustainably You, where we help soul-driven leaders transcend their past narcissistic abuse to create greater impact and fulfillment as they change the world. Today we're talking about the drama triangle and how it impacts your relationships after experiencing narcissistic abuse. Now I have to tell you, I first came across the drama triangle fairly recently in the last year or so, and it blew my mind when I could see these dynamics now so clearly. Dynamics that last long after the relationship has ended. So let me start with a story to paint a picture about what we're talking about. Jeff told his girlfriend that she needed to move out, and she threw herself down the stairs and broke her ankle. They hadn't gotten along for a long while. She was doing things to deliberately increase his stress, to deliberately interrupt his sleep. His work performance was sliding. He'd had enough. His request was polite, simple, straightforward. But rather than breaking up amicably and going their separate ways, his girlfriend created a situation where she's now unable to pack, unable to move her things out, unable to go get a new place on her own or find a new place on her own or even take care of herself until her ankle is healed and she's off crutches. And Jeff is left to either be that guy who insists that she leaves anyway in her injured state or takes care of her until she recovers. As a narcissistic abuse recovery specialist with decades of experience, I've heard it all. This story is extreme but not unusual. It's a classic example of the Karman drama triangle. Stephen Karman first described the drama triangle back in the 60s. And the drama triangle includes 3 interrelated roles: the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. So here's what happens. The person in the role of victim feels powerless when they encounter a challenge. The other person also believes that the victim is powerless and either tries to save them, rescue, or judges them harshly, persecutes. In narcissistic abuse, it would be super simple if the narcissist was always in the role of the persecutor and the narcissistic abuse victim was always in the role of victim, but that's just not the case. And this is a super important concept, so listen carefully as I break this down for you. To try to make these examples as clear as possible, I'm going to refer to the person using narcissistic tactics as the narcissist, and the person on the other end of those tactics as the victim in these scenarios. It's really important to note that the narcissist and the victim can play any of the 3 roles and can exchange roles at any time during a scenario. And the drama triangle in narcissistic abuse plays out in 3 different ways. The first is with the victim in the role of victim. So in this case, the victim of narcissistic abuse is also actively playing the role of victim, meaning they see themselves as powerless. In this scenario, the narcissist can choose the role of rescuer and love bomb them, use intermittent reinforcement, hoover. Alternatively, they can choose the role of persecutor and devalue the victim further. So here's an example. Sarah discovers that her husband Seth is cheating again. She feels hurt and betrayed. She also feels like she has no choice to stay because to leave would give him 50% placement of their 2 children. Sarah has been victimized by Seth. She is the victim of his behavior, cheating on her. But because she feels completely powerless to change her situation, she's also playing the role of the victim in the drama triangle. So Seth turns around and initially tries to make Sarah feel better. He says he wants to make things up to her. He's playing the role of rescuer. But after a few days, Seth gets kind of tired of the effort required with all this rescuing. He's just tired of talking about it. So he tells Sarah that he cheated because she wasn't ever in the mood. Then he leaves to go out without telling her where he's going, what he's doing. He stays out all night knowing that this will drive her absolutely out of her mind. He's switched to playing the role of persecutor. Okay, scenario number 2, the narcissist in the role of the victim. The narcissist frequently plays the role of the victim, especially if they're a covert narcissist, or in cases where they want to avoid accountability. Now, because the narcissist is in the role of the victim, the narcissistic abuse victim, their partner, has to take on one of the other roles, the rescuer or the persecutor. Those are the only 2 roles left. So in this scenario, David catches his wife, Danielle, lying about her spending. She has a history of lying, and this has long been a point of contention between the 2 of them. When he confronts her about her spending and her lying, she feels powerless, attacked. She takes on the role of the victim. Danielle starts sobbing, reminding Daniel about how poor she was when she grew up, how she wasn't allowed to buy or have anything, and how if she did spend any money on herself, she needed to lie about it to stay safe. David swoops in now to rescue her, reassuring Danielle that he's not her father, that she can trust him. David is playing the role of rescuer. Number 3, the constantly changing scenario. I know you're going to recognize this one. Sometimes it can be really hard to keep track of who is in which role because the roles can change so quickly. This is one of the ways a narcissist disorients their victim. This is the story that we started out with, the story of Jeff and his girlfriend. Jeff is a victim of his girlfriend's narcissistic abuse tactics that increase his stress, that disrupt his sleep, that negatively impact his work performance. He gathers the strength that he can to tell her that they need to end the relationship and she needs to move out. She then accidentally falls and breaks her ankle. Now she's injured with nowhere to go and no ability to pack and move her things. She feels powerless and has shifted from the role of persecutor to victim. But now Jeff feels powerless. He either has to tell her she has to leave anyway and look like a complete and total jerk, persecutor, or let her stay and take care of her until she recovers, rescuer, after he's ended the relationship. He feels like this is a no-win situation. He's powerless and shifts back to role of the victim. So now his girlfriend needs to change roles. She becomes more and more demanding with her care and belittles Jeff's efforts. She knows he feels powerless and judges him for being so weak. She is playing the role of the persecutor. Eventually she crosses the line and Jeff has just had it. He's back in the role of victim, distraught, distressed, powerless to change the situation. She swoops in to emotionally rescue him, switching back to the role of rescuer. Then her devaluing him crosses the line again. She is the persecutor and he flips. He tells her to go, broken her ankle or not, get out of the house. And now she feels powerless as the victim and sees him as the persecutor. So you might be hearing this story thinking, this sounds pretty normal. And while this pattern is common, it's a really unhealthy behavior pattern that creates conflict and eliminates problem solving for both parties. It keeps them completely stuck. This pattern reinforces the feeling of powerlessness. It creates conflict. It prevents problem solving. And when one has gotten used to the drama triangle through childhood relationships or other past relationships, when the drama triangle has become your normal method of interaction, it's easy to feel powerless when your only choices are one of the three roles. And even worse, once you're used to this pattern, it feels familiar. So you recreate this dynamic with others in your life, even the healthy non-narcissists. This is why, if you're used to being in the role of victim, you're going to attract new people to save you, rescuers, new people to abuse you, persecutors. And when you're looking for someone to save you, you set yourself up for future abuse. If you're a leader who's ready to step out of this triangle, to step out of this cycle, comment "I'm ready" and let's have a conversation.